Well, hello everyone. I'm going to show you how to create a 3D model of this chair using Autodesk Fusion 360, or it's now called Fusion, and also how to model each of the parts separately and create a 2D drawing. So it's going to take a few sessions to do this, but we're going to start with the back leg of the drawing of the chair, the first thing. So let's get started with that. To do that, we're going to open up a new tab. Oh, but the leg, by the way, will look a bit like this when we finish with it. This is our first project, making this leg. And the leg, you'll notice, has, scrolling my center mouse button, all the joints in here shown correctly in position as well. So let's get moving on this. So let's open up a new tab. And if you've never used Fusion 360 before, the first thing you want to do is to create a sketch. So go up the top here on the left hand side, you'll see sketch or create and sketch. And if not, it's not up there, you can always find it in the drop down menu. So create sketch. You get this grid appearing with the 3 planes in the universe. And let's choose one of them, it doesn't matter which. Select that plane, and then we're going to create a center rectangle. See under rectangle down here, center rectangle down the bottom, and make that center rectangle, so we click in the middle and then drag out, and then notice that the top is highlighted. There's a dimension that's highlighted. Now I know from looking at the plan that that dimension is 800 millimeters, which is the length of the chair leg from top to bottom, the rear leg. And then hit the tab key and you'll end up with the second dimension, which I guess at the moment is off the page. It's on my left hand side, you can see it now. And I want that to be 90 because that's the size of the cross section of the timber that we're going to get to work with, 800 by 90. So we'll click enter, and now we've just created a rectangle. So I'm dragging this sketch palette out of the way. That represents the size of one of our timber legs. Okay, now these dotted lines that you see just show that it's a rectangle and it's square. The next thing I suppose it's important for me to do is to create a start and stop point for the curved surfaces. Now looking back at the plan here, I think it's over here, you're going to see that we have a side which has a tenon in it fitting into a leg, and that section is straight, that join. These two joins are parallel, and the rest of the leg is curved. So we have like a straight section here where the side rail mates into the leg, and then it starts, the curve starts. So that's been designed deliberately to make it easy to fit the side rail tenon into the leg mortise. So I know that that's 65 millimeters because the plan tells me it's 65 millimeters thick. So let's go back to our leg here now, and then we're going to create a drawing or line drawing of that 65 millimeters. So once again, let's get into our rectangle and create another center rectangle. Here we go. Hover in the middle and the cursor will lock into position. And now I want to have a rectangle that's going to be 65 at the top dimension, so I type in 65, and then I want the second dimension, which is the depth of the rectangle, to be 90. It's already set at 90. Click enter. Alright, so I've now got the boundaries that I need to operate on. Now I don't really want these, see these dotted lines here? Let's go to this trim function at the top here, select it, and then highlight, and we'll get rid of this trim function. Okay, now again the same deal. I don't really want these trim line, these little hidden detail lines or construction lines they're called. Don't need them. Going to get rid of them. All right. Now I do want to create points, and points are like a geometry. It's not, instead of a line, it's a point, and you'll see why in a minute. Creating these points is going to be very, very helpful for me. So I'm going to create a point right here, that intersection point there, and a point right there. So I've got my 4 points, and because I'm about to create an arc that goes from here to there, and I want to have a start and a finish point, so I'll create a point there as well. So points are really useful things to have. Thoroughly recommend them, and they really help you lock in to start and finish things. So let's get rid of our sketch palette, shrink that down for the moment. And let's create an arc. So we're going to make, I do know that the width of the leg is 45 millimeters. So to create the arc, we're going to use this function here. It's a type of line called a spline. And that spline, you can see it there. I think it might show you. There it is there, spline. And it's a fill point spline. There it is, that symbol there. So to do that, I'm going to select the beginning point, and then I'm going to select, say, midpoint around here, and then I'm going to select an end point and hover over it right on that little point that I've created. And now I'm going to click OK, and I've got this curved surface, which is really nice. If I wasn't happy with it, I can always grab points and move those points to get them to just the way I like them, you know, so that we can produce the curve that we want. I'm going to go with this curve. I quite like this curve, and I think I'm going to also create another similar spline. So I click on it again, click here, I'm going to click there, and I'm going to click here, and they look pretty good. I'm going to click OK. I'm happy with those two lines. That'll do me for my leg shape. But of course, it's not my full leg shape, so I'm going to click on the Fit button here. I need to reproduce that shape on the right hand side. And how am I going to do this? Well, firstly, I'm going to create a line down through the center, because I'm going to use a very, very useful tool called the mirror function. So I click OK. I've just drawn a line. I need that line because I want that line to be the point about which I mirror these two lines, these two curves. So here we go. So go to Create, the Create tab, go down to Mirror, select Mirror. The dialog box opens up and it asks you to select the objects that you want to mirror. Well, in this case, it's just two lines. That line. Now I'm hitting Control to be able to keep my selection going, and I select both lines. Next thing that I'm asked to do is select the mirror line, which is a line about which you want to mirror these objects. So that's where that line I drew comes in handy. I select it and see how the 2 points have just been mirrored. Now I've got an exact replica about this axis. Click OK. We're happy with that. There's a lot of stuff that's being displayed here. These are all little functions that annoy me, but we'll deal with them in a minute. So click the Trim button, because now I'm going to get rid of a whole lot of stuff that I don't need. I don't need this line, don't need that line, don't need this line, don't need that line, don't need this line, don't need that line. Oops, I do. Mistake, hit Control Z, wait for it for a minute, and again, and your line comes back. Okay, so which no mistake is irreparable. If you need to move your drawing around, use the grab handle here. See that little hand down the bottom? And then just hold your left mouse button down as you drag, and it'll drag it back into sight for you. And then you can scroll up in and out to get lines. Now, I've got two separate shapes. They're not really joined together. So I'm going to get a line, just click a normal line, and once again, I'll use these 2 points, select that point. Then I'm going to do the same thing over here, select another point, back to the right hand side. So now I've got all of this shape that's blue is a bounded shape. I'm hitting escape to get out of this line that I'm in, and I'm going to use the trim function to get rid of more lines that I don't want, because I just want the outline of the leg, because I'm going to extrude that leg in a minute to create a 3D shape. Alright, so I'm almost there. Does that look right? Looks pretty good to me. So I may be able to to get rid of all of these constraint symbols, just open up your sketch palette and then click on uncheck constraints, and they disappear. Makes life a whole lot easier. Okay, so now we've got a bounded shape. We're still in the trim. Let's get rid of these two little lines. We don't want them, don't need them. And let's do an extrusion now. So we're going to select the object, it's already selected, go to solid, and then go to extrude, select one side, hit Control, and then you can select both sides, and then we're going to extrude it by a distance of 30 millimeters, because that's the width of what we're working with. So we click OK, and now that's our curved surface. That's the flat on the middle of our curved surface that we're going to place our mortise on. Now to place it on there, just select that surface which we're going to sketch our mortise hole on, and then go create sketch and make it a little bit bigger for us. We really need the center of these two parts, so let's just do a little line to organize the center like that, and then do one from this side so we can figure out the center. The diagonals will give us the center. Beautiful. Okay, now let's create a point right in the center so that we can operate out of that. And you see when you hit that point, I'll make it bigger for you. You see we get this, it locks in, and there it is. We've got a geometric point there. Now we're going to create a center rectangle. So create rectangle, make it a center rectangle. Here it is. And then hover about the center, and we know that our mortising hole is going to be 65 millimeters. So type the 65 in and you'll see it reach that. Hit the tab and take it to your vertical dimension, and 6 millimeters is going to be the width of the mortise. Click enter, and we've now got the shape that we want. Lots of lines that we don't need, so just hover over them and click them out of the way, because when you come to extrude, those lines will form boundaries that might get in your way and create a misrepresentation of the shape that you want. So there you go. So there's our shape. Now I like placing things on a bit of an angle so I can see them extrude, so I'm just move the spin box a little bit here, and now I'm going to select the solid function up here, and then the extrude tool, hover over that panel which represents the top of the, and then we're going to extrude down, so it'll be a downwards extrusion, the grab handle, see down, and we want to go down by 30 millimeters. So there where it says distance on the right in the dialog box, change that to 30 millimeters because that's going to be the depth of the mortise. Click enter, and it's cut it away. Well, it will in a minute. Now we've got our mortise all cut. There it is. Perfect. Alright, let's use the top face because we're going to put in two holes that represent the slots for the domino dowels that are going to go in here. So to do that, we're going to sketch them. So we need to sketch on a surface. So you can go sketch and then select that top surface, and now it's placed into view for you. And those little dotted lines show you where the mortising hole is. Now I'd happen to know that the center line for these slots is 15 millimeters from the back edge of the leg. Okay, so I do know that, and obviously want to get them away from, I just know that. So let's create a line so that we can use that line to line up our domino joints. So just a horizontal line like that. That's cool. Click OK. And now we're going to use the dimensioning tool up here under the Create tab. So select the dimensioning tool, highlight one dimension that you want to move to, then highlight another, and you're going to get the line. Now at the moment it's sitting at 18. I'm going to change it to 15 millimeters, and you see how that line just moved up. And that's the center line that I'm going to use to create my domino slots. Alright, so how do we do that? Well, we're going to use the slot function. So go create, go to slot. You'll find them somewhere floating around here. There we are, slots. And we're going to do an overall slot. There we go. Now I know that our dominoes are going to be 20 millimeters. So I'm starting, oops, I'm in the wrong spot. Click escape. I'm going to start on my center line. So go back here. I've lost my slot. Go to slot and overall slot. Here's the center line on which the slots are going to occur. I'm starting them here, and I'm going to go a distance of 20 millimeters. There. So I'm going to type in 20. Good. And then I'm going to drag out my, 20 there. And now drag out my slot. So I'm just moving my mouse, and there's my slot. I know that the domino dowels are 6 millimeters in width. So I type in 6. And I click OK, and there's one slot. Now I need another one exactly on the other side of the center line. So of course I need a line for a center line, so let's just get ourselves a line. I'll draw the line out here just to make it a little bit easier to work with. Click OK. So there's my center line, and I'm going to mirror this slot about that center line to get it on the other side. So let's go create, then we'll go to mirror. There we have it. And then we're going to select the slot. Now at this point in time only one part of the slot is highlighting, but I'm going to hold the control key down and select the other semicircle, the opposite edge. So I've got it all highlighted in blue. That means that whole shape is selected. Fusion recognizes it 4 different line segments. And now I'm going to select my mirror line, which is that line I've just created. And look, there's a slot on the other side, perfectly where we want it. I'm going to click OK. Beautiful. Alright, now I've got my slot in place like that. There's my slot lines. Have a guess what I'm going to do now? Yeah, you guessed it. I'm going to create a solid extrusion, and I'm going to make these slots. Now, of course, I'm not getting the whole slot, so hold the control key down, and you can select both slots. So they're all highlighted in blue, and we're going to take them down a distance of, well, the Domino dowel that we're using is 40 millimeters long, going halfway in there, which makes it minus 20 millimeters. So let's go minus 20. That's going to be the depth of our slot. Click enter, and we have located and created our first leg. How good is that? Yeah, there it is. Okay, so that'll be easy enough for us to then mirror to create the second leg. So the whole process is great if you have repeated parts. You just mirror those parts or even copy them and move them. So I'm going to click save here now, so don't forget to save your work. Save it, give it a name. We'll call it, well, this one's going to be the right leg. Sitting on the chair will be the right leg. Right leg, and location will be sitting inside a Y10 chair. You might have a different folder. You can create a new folder if you want, or just search for folders. So there's all your folders. Create a new folder if you want, and set it all in the one spot, and click save. So that leg will save, and it's all done. And then I'll show you in another video how to do the side rails with a mortise in them, and we're going to construct everything in sight. And I'll show you how to turn these objects on and off so you can put them together and build from your existing models, extend out to with new bodies or new components to create the whole chair. Okay, thank you.